Okay, so recently it seems as though Florida Pyro has discovered that you can actually press a flat fuel grain of strobe, and it can actually strobe and pop pretty good if you just make a slight adjustment, and that's by adding 5% potassium perchlorate. Well, that's really cool. I find that to be a pretty neat development, and I'm going to want to try that out for myself. Now, I'm curious actually to see if when you press it around the spindle, if it actually helps to get even better pops around the spindle. It makes sense, right? If it's making good pops when it presses a flat grain with no core in it, like once it's pressed around a core, it should, in theory, following scientific principle, it should perform even better in that context as well, right? So we're going to be trying that out here. What I got right here, as you can see, turn on the lights so you can see better, is some nice strobe that I made. Now this stuff right here is some pretty good strobe, and what I'm prepared to do is add 2 grams of potassium perchlorate to it. I'm adding 2 grams of pure potassium perchlorate. This particular stuff that I'm using, it doesn't have anti-cake in it. I'm going to be adding 2 grams of this to an already pre-measured amount here. That's what you see right here. 38 grams of strobe. Now what's this particular strobe that you're looking at here? Well, I've got the formula here. The base mix is 60% ammonium perchlorate, 15% barium sulfate, and 5%. Now you'd usually use potassium dichromate, but in this context we're using ammonium dichromate. So 5% ammonium dichromate. So 60, 15, 5 AP, barium sulfate, and ammonium dichromate. Base mix, we got 76%, and then that's the base mix. Then we got 12% of 80 through 200 mesh magnesium, 9% of the negative 325 mesh, really fine magnesium, and then we got the extra super hyper fine 3 micron magnesium, GAL, at 3%. Now, to all this, we're adding 8% nitrocellulose lacquer and 2% polyisobutene, which I found to be even better than mineral oil because it doesn't take away from the pops like mineral oil can sometimes do if you overdo it. So that's what we got here is some hydrogenated polyisobutene. It's the same thing as PIB, polyisobutylene. You might recognize that as the binder in C4 explosive. Well, this is the stuff right here. Same material that they use in C4. It's one of the binders, and then they add some plasticizers in there to soften it further. Some adipates and some sebicates and the different esters of those guys as plasticizers to soften. But yeah, the main material is PIB, polyisobutylene or polyisobutene. They use in C4 to bind and plasticize the RDX. But anyways, yeah, we got 2% of this in our strobe, the PIB. But the NC lacquer is this stuff here. It's made from bullseye, alliant powder. This stuff is very, very good. Makes for very solid pops when you use this. Unparalleled pops can be experienced. But anyways, yeah, that's what we got here. What I'm going to do is take this composition of strobe, and we're just gonna go in here and kind of powderize this potassium perchlorate so it's nice and fine. We'll add that. We'll add that to our strobe real quick. Okay. This perchlorate doesn't have any anti-cake in it, but it powderizes into a really fine powder without much issue at all. Just kind of screen it through a 60 mesh or a 100 mesh.
I gotta go warm my wiener dog. It's getting cold out there, 8 degrees. Kind of cold for doing mechanical work outside.
No good for that. Just gonna add 2 grams of perk to this. Okay.
That's the driver's side valve.